I like Tom and Jerry. You know, I think there's so much to learn from that cartoon. If you haven't watched Tom and Jerry, because maybe you're too young, I'm not talking about the new Tom and Jerry's. I'm talking about the old ones. Because it goes deeply into what not only right and wrong is, but the state of mind of white folks. Common white folks too, and the state of mind of the white folks that are in power. Now, you're not going to look at Tom and Jerry the same way after watching this video. So if you don't want to change your mindset on how you see Tom and Jerry, I suggest you don't watch this video. But my normal viewers, this is a prereq. I shouldn't say it's a prerequisite, but it is definitely needed to move forward in the movement, as well as maintaining the strength of the revolution, and also allowing you to think out, not only outside the box, but think in ways that are intricate to understanding the mentality of white folks, because they put their subliminal message in games, and they put their subliminal messages in and how they want to express themselves without really saying it to you black folks, because they know, what I mean, they'll offend you, or they'll feel that they'll be understood, and they don't really want you to understand them. They want you to be in the dark, and how they explain because when you see things, when you watch C-SPAN, you see a broader picture, a better picture of how they think. But when you watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, both the left and the right, the far left and the far right, they don't put out everything. See, they only put out what they want you to see, because that fans the flames of anger for both, for those people who are, from all intents and purposes, have a better state of reasoning. You know what I mean? So let's get back to my feelings about, the lessons that you can learn about right and wrong when it comes to Tom and Jerry. Now, at first glance, right, and once again, this is an insight into the thoughts and psychology, and you're talking to an expert, the psychology of white folks, then and now, okay, because it hasn't changed all that much, okay, how they think, because we haven't really done as black folks, we haven't really done a very good job at understanding the underlying thought patterns of white folks, for the most part, across the board. Once again, I don't like to generalize. It's best that you take white folks each as one at a time. But if you wanted to know the underlying thought patterns, why they have these levels of superiority, why they think the way that they do, when you get into an argument with them about race relations and equality and these kind of things. So, okay, so you at first glance you see Tom as this big bad cat that is chasing the little gray mouse, right? Tom is definitely the bad guy in all of this. But if you see things a little bit closer, if you assess the truth just a little bit more, you'll find that maybe Tom is not the bad guy. Maybe he is doing his job as a cat. Now, most of us likes to have cats as pets around the house, and they serve as two functions, basically, and those two functions are actually three functions. One, cats. If you're a cat lover, because we'll get to Butch in a minute, or Spike, the dog. We'll get to him in a minute. But for right now, Tom. So Tom is, for all intents and purposes, having a cat in your house, for all intents and purposes, one, cats are easy to take care of. They basically go by themselves. They can, poop in the thing. And you know what I mean? They can, you know what I mean? You don't have to wash them or anything else. They like to keep themselves clean. So one, they're self-sufficient. Okay. Two, they're very, if you got a nice cat, or if you, whatever cat you pick, it brings you comfort psychologically, and physiologically. Stroking a cat lowers your blood pressure. Now, if you didn't know that, now you do. It's very good to lower your blood pressure, and their purring is not only lowers your blood pressure, but it's therapeutic on your state of mind. It's that purring, having a cat on your, on your lap, and you stroking it, and it gives you back a purring noise. That purring sound is therapeutic, Zen therapeutic. And then lastly, if you have a rodent problem, okay, he likes to eat small rodents, right? Okay. And each time, for the most part, Tom is in a house. You know what I mean? And, except that one where he goes fishing, but he's going to go fish for fish. You know what I'm saying? And he's using Jerry as bait. Okay, if you've ever seen that one, that's a really good one. The drawings on it is excellent. But anyway, so he's doing his job. That's his job. His job is to catch this mouse and get him out the house. And if you look at the real old ones, there's a mammy. And she said, if you don't get that cat, if you don't get that mouse cat, you getting thrown out. You know what I mean? And they, the older ones, they have this older black woman. They don't show her face. You know what I'm saying? Because she talk like a mammy, talk like Aunt your mama on the pancake box. But she's still Tom's boss. Okay? Now, how do you see all that? Well, the racism, of course, is there. Because you got this heavy-set black woman. You know what I mean? Now, she don't never be seen telling that cat what to do, because for all intents and purposes, we really know that Tom's a little white. He represents white folk. So that nigga woman, you know what I'm saying? She can't be really seen telling that cat what to do. They just show her legs. You know what I'm saying? And in her slippers. She be wearing slippers like these, with and has socks on like black girls do. See? Yeah. And so that's their mindset when they think about our black women, and how Tom, and what Tom's relationship is to her and his function in that house. She got that cat to get rid of that mouse. And when we're looking at the program, we're like, come on, man, give the mouse a break, But no, that's his job. That's why he was brought there. You know what I'm saying? Now, as the cartoons got closer, I think those older ones, like in the 40s or so, but they closer to the 50s and 60s, kind of changed. They show you the teenage girl, and she's white, and you know what I mean? All those things change. So you start to see that the evolving of Tom and Jerry through the ages. Now, okay, so you got Tom, who's, you know what I mean, a little white boy cat that's supposed to be, and okay, so we see that racial part of it. Now Jerry if you didn't know, but now you know, is the bad guy. He's running around the house, sneaking food, drinking Tom's milk, going into things. Nah. You know what I mean? That rodent got to go. Right and wrong. Okay? You wrong for coming in that house and freeloading. Now, for all intents and purposes, and to be fair to Jerry, I mean, he a rodent, he gotta eat. He serves his function. You know what I mean? Okay? So both are serving their function. And when we think about it, we say to ourselves, well, is that right? That Tom chases after him? And when we think deeper, with my help, is Jerry serving his function? Okay? As a rodent, he's supposed to live and try to survive. We all want that. Now, here comes the X factor. Okay? And the X factor is really not depicted truthfully in the cartoon. But even though he's not depicted correctly in the cartoon, he still serves as a catalyst, or he still serves as something that puts his foot on the scales, and that is Butch or Spike. Okay, the bulldog. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong about the dog, what kind of breed he is. But anyway, white folks love they dogs. Okay. Now, black people, there are black people out there that like dogs, and they were starting to get, more pit bulls and Rottweilers and stuff like that. But back then, and in the state of mind of white folks, they love their dogs. And he tips the scale of right and wrong, because these guys are just serving their function. But he tips the scales of right and wrong in Jerry's favor. Okay? Now, why is he there to do that? Because we can't allow this to, for all intents and purposes, do his job effectively, because we don't believe that the bigger guys should, do anything to the smaller guy. So there has to be a balance. There has to be a tipping of the. There has to be a correction of the balance. Okay, and that correction of the balance is Butch or Spike. Okay. Every now and then in the cartoon, Tom and Jerry work together. Every now and then. Okay? You see that? And every now and then, Butch gets what he deserved for interfering in what they're supposed to be doing. In the white state of mind, to get to the point of all this, the white state of mind is that they have a hard time, or they want you to have a hard time depicting what is right and wrong. So you're always confused about what is right and wrong. Okay? If somebody is fulfilling their purpose in life, that's right. They're going to work, they're doing what they're supposed to do. But there's always an X factor. That's true when you're talking about the complexity of life. But there's no complexity when it comes to justice. Okay? And in the cartoon, it always alludes to that. But only periodically. So their state of mind is that, well, justice only happens periodically, and we're going to tip the scales of right and wrong for the way that we want to have it. That's their mindset. That's how they see life. Black, brown, and people of color, for the most part, understand that if I take something from you, you know what I mean, there has to be a correction. You know what I mean? And there is no tipping of the scales just because of your size, just because what you look like, just because you white. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that there should be a tipping. You know what I mean? There has to be a reckoning always. So, yeah, watch the cartoon. See what the messages are. Because psychologically, they'll put what they feel about certain things in society in their cartoons, in their shows. The Witcher. Watch that. You know what I mean? Watch the Babysitting Club. Watch that. They're starting to get a little bit better. But before the movement, this is where they thought. This is what they thought. Now, be careful when they, as the things change, and the Black Lives Matter movement, gains steam. They're going to start making shows that are more conducive to the demographics of the society. So, but always watch how they roll out the story and see if you can see any of their thought patterns in it, especially if it's written by a white person. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button and subscribe. We're looking to get to 1,000 viewers at least so that, we can get our message out. But for those who are watching and always have watched, I thank you. And we'll talk again. And we're going to be talking about the Pledge of Allegiance next time. Have a good day.